Good day, everyone. I am Christine Joy de la Cruz, and I will be presenting to you what is optical art and who are the artists and what are their artworks in optical art. First of all, what is optical art? Optical art is a form of abstract art, specifically non objective art, which relies on optical illusions in order to fool the eye of the viewer. It is also called optical art or retinal art. A form of kinetic art, it relates to geometric designs that create feelings of movement or vibration. OP artworks were first produced in black and white, later in vibrant color. Historically, the OP art style may be said to have originated in the work of the kinetic artist Victor Vasarely, and also from abstract expressionism. Another major OP artist is the British painter Bridget Riley. Modern interest in the retinal art movement stems from 1965 when a major OP art exhibition in New York entitled The Responsive Eye caught public attention. As a consequence, the style began appearing in print graphics, advertising, and album art, as well as fashion design and interior decorations. By the end of the 1960s, the OP art movement had faded. Proceeding to the life of the artist, we have here Hungarian-French painter and sculptor Victor Vasarely. He was born on April 9, 1908, but later died during March 15, 1997. For his movement or styles, he was into OP art, kinetic art, modernism, and modern art. He was the leader of the OP art movement of 1960s, used disorienting effects to create often impossible images to the human eye, such as these Vasarely prints and sculptures. He was internationally recognized as one of the most important artists of the 20th century. His innovations in color and optical illusion have had a strong influence on many modern artists. Victor Vasarely provided us with some of the most distinctive images and optical effects in 20th century art. From his days as a commercial graphic designer in 1930s to 40s, Paris to his final decades developing and marketing what he hoped would become a new universal language for art and architectural design. Vasarely steered a unique course, combining virtuosic technical precision with the scientific awareness of optical and geometric effects. Is best known for his grid-like paintings and sculptures of the 1960s onwards, which plays with the reader's sense of visual form by creating illusory, flickering effect of depth, perspective, and motion. In making the act of looking one of their primary subjects, these works speak to quintessentially modern concern with the difference between what we can see and what is really there. The first artwork of Vasarely that I will show to you is the chessboard. It was created in 1935. It was made using oil on a board, and it was collected by the World Chess Hall of Fame in St. Louis, Missouri. This painting is an infinite chessboard with chess pieces scattered within the board. The next artwork of Vasarely is the zebra, created in 1937 using acrylic on canvas. It was collected by Pompidou Center, Paris. This painting is typical of Vasarely's early work in using abstract visual effects in pictorial representation. Zebras and tigers were common subject matter for this reason. Because of the abstract patterning on their bodies, and in recreating three-dimensional space in two dimensions without resorting to vanishing point perspective. Despite his status as a commercial artist, Vasarely had been exposed to avant-garde ideas of the Bauhaus at the Muheli Art School in Budapest. in the late 1920s. And there is an obvious constructivist influence on this work, with its reduction of representative elements to an absolute iconic minimum. Indeed, in producing works like Zebra, Vasarely was following in the footpaths of pioneering Hungarian constructivists and avant-gardists at the same time. We can sense the first stirrings of Vasarely's movement towards purely abstract, optically arresting effects. Vasarely returned to the zebra as a visual motif throughout his career, notably creating a sculpture based on this early work in 1965. The third one is the couple Gestal. Created in the year 1968, for its medium, it is made using acrylic on canvas. It was collected by Tate Museum of Modern Art. Yet another way, Vasarely depicted 3D forms through his 2D platform was by simply bending parallel lines at certain points in order to create the impression of contour. Then we have here Veganor, created in 1969 using oil on canvas. It was collected by Albright Knox Art Gallery, Buffalo, New York, and gift of Seymour H. Knox, Jr. This painting features a large spherical form which seems to be pushed out from the center of the canvas, composed from individual squares, many of which are heavily distorted, picked out in varying intensities of color. Veganor, like earlier works such as Alphabet VR, was composed using the grid-based system of the Alphabet Plastique. But in this case, the picture surface created by the rows of squares is warped. The impression of surface tension, that sense that an object or force is being applied to the canvas from behind, is found in many of Vasarely's works from this period, and may be loosely inspired by natural phenomena such as water droplets, whose surfaces often appeared as stretched, elastic membranes. For the last famous artwork of Vasarely, it is the Vonal's Tree, created in 1975 using acrylic on canvas. It was also collected by Tate Museum of Modern Art. Vonal's Tree demonstrates Vasarely's lifelong and single-minded focus on the possibilities of geometry to express the intersection of science and art. For the second artist, we have here Bridget Riley, a British painter born on April 29, 1931, and her movement or style is only OP art. Bridget Riley's geometric paintings implore the viewer to reflect on how it physically feels to look. Her paintings of the 1960s become synonymous with the OP art movement, which exploited optical illusions to make the two-dimensional surface of painting seem to move, vibrate, and sparkle. Grounded in her own optical experiences and not color theories, math, or science, Riley experiments with structural units such as squares, ovals, stripes, and curves in various configurations and colors to explore the physical and psychological responses of the eye. Her paintings inspired textile designs and psychedelic posters over the decades, but her objectives have always been to interrogate what and how we see and to provoke both uncertainty and clarity with her paintings. The first artwork of Riley that I will show to you is The Movement in Squares, created in 1961, using emulsion on board. It was collected by Hayward Gallery. Its rhythm subtly evokes a meeting of two forms, a kiss or a folding of two flat planes into a vanishing line of contact. The repeated squares gradually compress from left and right. give a restless impression of movement, and used to let the eye settle. The next artwork of Riley is the Blaze 1. It was created in 1962. It was collected by Tate Museum of Modern Art and Indianapolis Museum of Art at Newfields. The first of five Blaze paintings, Blaze 1, is an important early work by Bridget Riley. It was first displayed in London 1963 and is one of the works for which Riley became internationally recognized. Although it appears to be a spiral, Blaze 1 is formed from a succession of concentric circles made of zigzags, where the zigs of the one circle meets the zags of the next. Chevrons are formed and composition appears to rotate. This creates the perception of movement. Blaze 1 is also Riley's interest in capturing sensations experienced in nature such as dazzling sunlight, and writing about a childhood memory the artist recalled, looking directly into the sun over a foreshore of rocks exposed by the tide, all reduced to a violent black and white contrast. The third one is The Current, was made during 1964 using synthetic emulsion on board. It was collected by the Museum of Modern Art, Philip Johnson Fund. Currents painted undulating black and white lines appear to vibrate and form three-dimensional depressions that quiver on painting's surface. The juxtaposition of black and white activates the painting with the semblance of movement and appearance of other colors. In this and other early works, Riley wanted the space between the picture plane and the spectator to be active. She later explored color contrast. For the last famous artwork of Riley, it is the Cantus Firmus, created in the year 1972. It is made using acrylic on canvas and was collected by Tate Museum of Modern Art. The title is a musical term describing a regular metric and harmonic theme upon which variations of melody and rhythm, voices, or instruments are based. Here, the proportions and positions of the colors, the blacks, whites, and even the grays, are repeated in the same order throughout. Only the grays vary in moving from a light tone, close to the colors bands on both sides, to a deeper, nearly black shade just off center. This subtle movement and displacement of balance give a surprising sense of depth to an otherwise flat space. For the third artist, we have here Jesus Rafael Soto. He was born on June 5, 1923, then died on January 14, 2005. He was a Venezuelan sculptor and painter. For his movement or style, he was into kinetic and OP art. Major exhibitions of Soto's work took place at Signals Gallery, London in 1965, Museum of Contemporary Art, Chicago in 1971, Solomon R. Guggenheim Museum, New York in 1974, and Musée National d'Art Moderne, Centre Georges Pompidou, Paris in 1979. For each year of these exhibitions, Soto used swaying nylon, thread, or plastic string to turn the gallery space into an all-encompassing kinetic installation in which the experience of the spectator within the constructed environment was central to the work's meaning. Soto's sculpture and environments often play with the juxtaposition of solid and void, deliberately unsettling the act of viewing by blurring the distinction between reality and illusion. The first artwork of Soto is the Le Corbe Bleu. created in 1965 using oil on panel with painted metal and nylon wire. The next artwork of Sota is the light trap. It was created also in the year 1965 but using a wood, nylon, and printed paper. This artwork was collected by Tate. The third one is the Labui, made during 1967 using multiple 3 silkscreen plexiglass discs in the black wooden object box. And this was collected by Ranvilu Art Gallery. Then, we have here Maquette Esfera Theospatial. It was created in 1989 using a plexiglass structure and painted steel bars. It was collected by Mark Hatcham Gallery. For the last famous artwork of Sota, it is the Marish II, created in 1997 using acrylic on wood, panel, and painted metal. For the fourth artist, we have here Damian Gilley. He is an American painter and sculptor born on the year 1977, and his movement or styles focuses on OP art. Damian Gilley is widely known for his geometric style and artworks that challenge the perception of the viewer. He doesn't only exhibit his works in a gallery but incorporates that space into his artworks. By thoughtfully arranging sheets of contact paper and strips of tape on gallery walls, Portland-based artist and educator creates striking landscapes that takes the observer into a new seemingly unpredictable sci-fi landscape full of action and excitement. He transforms flat surfaces into 3D space that changes depending on the viewing angle. The first artwork of Gilley is the Hot Competition, which was made using acrylic in year 2009. This artwork is an isometric conundrum landscapes that hint at structures such as retail facades, boutiques, and manicured landscapes. The next artwork of Gilley is The Unfinished Business, made by the next following year, 2010. It was made using mixed media. The next one is the Multiplier 5, created in 2012 using graph. Then we have here Night Moves, also created in the year 2012 but using a pencil. We're not surprised Damian Gilley was an art forum critic's pick. He uses architectural blueprints to explore space, usually on a grand scale, but in this piece, colored pencils on black linen. He scaled down to reveal the essence of his practice. For the last famous artwork of Gilley, it is the Ultra Parallel, which is also created during 2012 using mixed media. It is a custom kaleidoscope with wall drawing. The last artist that I will be presenting is an Argentine sculptor, and he is Leandro Ehrlich. He was born in the year 1973, and he focuses on OP art and contemporary art. As a conceptual artist, his works explores the perceptual basis of reality and our capacity to interrogate these same foundations through a visual framework. The architecture of everyday is a recurring theme in Ehrlich's art, aimed at creating a dialogue between what we believe and what we see, just as he seeks to close the distance between the museum or gallery space and daily experience. The first artwork of Ehrlich is the Sailboat and Reflection, which was made during 2014 using a brass as a medium, and it was collected by Artfront Gallery. The next artwork of Ehrlich is The Staircase, which was also created in 2014 and was collected by Artfront Gallery. The third one is the pulled by the roots at the city is a star and was created during 2015. A massive construction crane carrying an entire house mid-air over the Karlsruhe marketplace in Karlsruhe, Germany. With a root system dangling from beneath it, the house takes its title literally. Then we have here the cloud, which was created in the year 2016 and was collected by Mori Art Museum. Cloud by Leander Ehrlich is transparent and seems weightless. It is contrasted with the environment in contrast with one of the largest cities in the world. Buildings are standing in the city, they are heavy. They are made of concrete and seem to stay there until eternity. For the last famous artwork of Ehrlich, it is the laundry, created in 2018 using aluminum monitor FRP as a medium. And this was collected in Art Front Gallery. The action of laundry is a fiction. The moment viewers notice this pure absence in the window, they start a quest for real meaning. Previously, people had never interrogated the sense or existence of dryers, but Ehrlich dexterously causes a blurring of recognition and an ambivalence.